The question of the day, do you hoop
or float?
Watch this video and find out what we do. Alright, so in this video we're going to talk about hooping versus floating. I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but too bad. Let's get into it. Alright, you ready?
It's a can of worms. Let's open it up.
It's a can of worms. Crack it open. Let's go. Alright, so are you a hooper or are you a floater? What side are you on, Don?
Hoop.
Hoop. Hoop here, hoop here.
All the way.
What we want to do is explore this because a lot of people do float and we don't understand why. So from our point of view, we're going to, tell you why we think hooping is better. And we want you guys in the comments on the channel to help us understand why floating is better, because people are dead set on it. So let's go through what it is. I believe in hooping because I think that your fabric has to be with your stabilizer and it has to be held tight and not moving.
That's right. If you want the best stitch out, you have to have everything stabilized properly, and hooping achieves that.
I don't think you can do it with floating because you're relying on temporary adhesive spray, which is temporary adhesive spray. So it's just temporary. It's not a good bond. It's not going to hold it. It's just meant for example, applique. So when you put an applique piece down, you want it to temporarily hold. The next step that you're taking is to stitch it down so it is held. So it's really only meant to hold something for, 10 minutes, if that, just so you can get perfect placement and it's not going anywhere. So another point is that I don't understand. I don't understand why people do 10 steps to float as opposed to hoop it. You just hoop it.
Seems a lot quicker just to hoop.
I watched some videos. I've been doing my research. So when you guys are, letting us know everything, I did some research and I watched some videos and I still don't get it. So she hooped stabilizer. Okay, that may be easier, just hooping the stabilizer.
Yeah.
And then she put the template on the hoop and then she made marks everywhere. And then she took it was a shirt or something, or maybe it was a towel, and she folded it and then folded it in half inside out and then placed it on it and then folded it out and then pinned the whole thing. I don't understand how that can be good.
You lost me at folding.
Yeah, I know.
I think it'd be a lot easier just to put it all together, and whether you have a camera to scan or not for your alignment, I still think printing a template out and checking it to make sure you have it hooped centered, I think is far quicker and easier than floating.
That's what I think, and I don't want pins near my machines. You have what, 6 machines? Would you put a pin?
No, not near any of them. No,
never.
No, I always avoid pins. There's other things you can use if you have to do something, but not. I mean, floating you don't just don't.
This is going to be a really good discussion, and everyone can take a side. So let us know, hoop, float in the comments, and we'll get this discussion going, and we'll see who's on what side. I'm really interested to know who's on what side. So, okay, if you were stitching, say, a monogram on a towel, how would you do it? Hoop or float?
Hoop it.
Okay, how would you hoop it? Because I watched a video on a towel, and again, the same thing, all of those steps, it was an incredible amount of steps that they, hooped the stabilizer, and then they marked everything, and then took a ruler and drew some lines. They folded the towel in half, they sprayed the bejeebers out of and then they put it on it, and then they folded it out. And then they took WSS on top, which is fine, and pinned all of that and then took it to the machine. I think it was a very large towel, and I think the towel would move.
Probably the
as
weight,
it's
the weight
stitching.
would make it shift a little bit.
I think that is a problem.
Could get caught on something too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the same thing, it could get caught on when you're hooping, but
Yeah.
that towel's in there. The towel's not going anywhere. Pins, and people say, oh, a basting stitch does it. A basting stitch isn't meant to hold anything together.
It just lightly tacks.
It's a tack
It's not the same
stitch.
as holding it for stability.
Yeah, so I think people need to learn how to hoop. There are times when you can float, and I think, you know, for unhoopable fabrics, there are a few rare occasions. So like fake leather or vinyl, you don't hoop that because it's not going to hoop. Anything that crushes, you don't want to hoop that either.
Velvet would crush.
Velvet, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Something like that. I'm trying to think back of everything I've done in the past years, and I can't even remember when I've ever had to float.
No.
I think I've always been able to hoop everything. I always find a way.
If you're having trouble hooping something, because hooping is a skill, really, you're only as good as your hooping skills. So you could have the most gorgeous design, and if you don't hoop it properly, it's going to be out of registration, things aren't going to work, and that's why. That's why, because you're not hooping it properly. So you do have to practice. It does take a while, but once you get it, you get it. If you're having trouble hooping, then go grab some magnetic hoops. They're the same thing. You just plunk them on, but it's holding your stabilizer and your fabric nice and flat and nice and, you know, straight together. So I think it's the best way. The other thing is when you're floating too, I didn't see one single person who printed out a template.
Tell us in the comments what your preference is, hooping or floating, and why.
Yeah, we want to know why.
We want to know why, because we're having a hard time trying to understand why everybody seems to want to float all the time. There are instances where you float, but not all the time. So tell us why, and maybe we'll give them a try. Are you going to try some?
As long as that doesn't require pinning. I am not putting pins
No
near
pins.
Nick.
We're not using anybody's pinning idea.
So to recap, the question is hooping
Or floating.